What's up, guys? Thanks for checking me out. My name is Low-Key. Welcome to my workout, Slain by Force. I think the best way for me to get to learn my device is to use it. So I'm going through some workouts to do it. I'm tired of watching videos that aren't getting me closer to my goal, and I'm done downloading sound packs that I can't use in the way that I want to. If you're anything like me, you're probably a big Native Instruments machine fan. Like I said in the description, since the Force 3.2 update, my machine has been broken, killed. Okay, my desire to use my machine has been killed. Now, we all know the machine is a beast, so this is in no way a bash the machine workout. It's more like a compare the machine's journey, learning about the Force from the machine. Now, there are a lot of people out there using the Force in a lot of different ways, and that's what makes the Force so cool. There are a lot of videos out there, so you can probably already find anything you want to know. My objective here is to get workouts on this machine, that is the Force, so I can continue to understand it and share with you how I've come to understand it. Again, I love my machine. It will always have a purpose in my studio. It'll always be in my studio. But I think that AKAI is killing Native Instruments. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below. I think the Force will always be my go-to. I think that the Force is the best piece of equipment made in the past 10 years. Again, what do you guys think? But the machine has been around for over 10 years. So that says a whole lot about the machine, right? Again, what do you guys think? I've come to find that I think the two companies are not quite focused on the same things. It is my belief, just personal opinion, I think that AKAI's focus is beat makers and giving them mobility. I think Native Instruments' focus is sound design. I think that the machine was created to use the sounds created by Native Instruments, where the Force was created to make music. That's just my thought on the two machines, though. Just my thought. These workouts will be moderator-led. I'm just your coach and your host, here to relay and demonstrate what's being done in the video. The ultimate goal is to be Jedi on the Force. So, I think that by the end of these videos, by the end of these workouts, and with your help, we will know more about this machine, that is the Force, than we knew possible, creating music that we didn't even know possible. Now, when I first came to music creation, I came across this place called Dubspot. It was a chaotic crash course that ended with my money being stolen. If you want to know more about that experience, click this link over here. But for now, let's get our workout in on the Force. Let's do it.
Alright everybody, so the first thing we want to do is actually go in and do a little bit of housekeeping. What I mean by that is I want to do a little bit of an overview on the software and the hardware of Machine first, so we get some of the concepts down, we know some of the areas that we're talking about here, and some of the terminology that we're going to be using going forward here.
Alright, so like I said, these workouts are going to be moderator-led. I'm your coach and your host, here to demonstrate what's being done in the video. So we're going to do an overview of the software and the hardware. Obviously, I got to turn on my machine, that is the Force.
So first thing we're going to look at in the software is your library. This is basically the browser section. So from the browser, and you've seen this in a lot of Native Instruments products if you ever used any, but it's a smart way to organize the library so you can find the sounds and instruments that you need quickly and easily.
All right, so obviously we're going to start off checking out the browser. All right, so we're going to start off by checking out the browser, looking at the library. Obviously, when we turn on our Force, it starts just like this. You can't see the browser or the library like this. So, to get to your browser, you first have to load an empty project. Still can't see the browser or the library. So, to find the browser, you can go, and there's your browser there. That brings up your content area. Push Matrix to go back to the Matrix screen, or the arranger. Press Matrix to go back to the arranger. Again, you push Menu, Browser. That brings up your browser. Matrix to go back to the arranger. Menu, Browser, Matrix. Or the quickest way to do it is just push Load. And that brings you up to your browser. Matrix, Load. Matrix, Load.
No. There's over 15,000 sounds inside a machine, so how the heck am I going to find that kick drum that I want, or that drum kit, or that synth bass? This is meant to really make this easy for you. So you can see it's categorized by different banks. So if you're familiar with browsers and other software, this is obviously where you find all your sounds, all your projects, all your files, searching your computer contents. Everything is going to be done right here in the browser.
All right, so everything is going to be done right here in the browser, just the same. We go over here to our places, and that shows all the content within our device. That's our internal drive, whether we have an external drive there, an internal installed drive like a SSD, and then below that shows all of the kits that you have installed on your Force. You click the next tab, and that shows the content within the Force. Again, the first one is your places, and that is the places of the disk drives on your Force. We have our internal. We have an external hard drive just plugged in, and we have an internal SSD. Then again, you push your content area, and that will show you the categorized areas of your Force. Audio clips, instruments, MIDI clips, kits, samples, and splice sounds. Click the next tab, and that will show you the thumbnail view of your expansions. Again, over here in the places, that also displays your expansions. Now, regardless of which of those tabs you're in, these tabs over here display the content of those folders. So whatever place I'm in, if I'm in my internal hard drive, these tabs over here show the content within that internal hard drive. The content being a project, MIDI files, kits, instruments, samples, and then all the files that are, again, possibly within that drive.
So from the software, we're going to look from left to right. We have our projects, our groups, our sounds, instruments, effects, samples, and then NI's internal sounds and our user samples. So we can switch between these. So it's very easy to use like this.
Okay, so for us to find that content area, kind of as demonstrated, you go over here, the categorized area as demonstrated, you go over here to your content. You have your audio clips, your instruments, MIDI clips, kits, samples, splice sounds.
You can also see a drop-down menu if you prefer to see the thumbnails, so I can search maybe the machine's internal groups, or I can find something from Transistor Punch, which...
Okay, and again, for us to see our thumbnails, you just push the expansion over there, and that will show you the thumbnail view of our expansions.
which is a simple expansion kit for Machine. So we can start looking at our groups. All the drum kits are in groups, right? All the sounds are basically the instruments. And then we get down to the actual instruments, which are the Native Instruments complete instruments, your effects, and then the samples.
Okay, same concept for us. So here in our content section, here are all our audio clips, our MIDI clips, our samples, our sounds being individual sounds, our kits, and our instruments. Focusing back here on the Places tab,
Right. So if we wanted to build a drum kit from scratch, we might come in and actually load a kick sample, a snare sample, etc. So we're just going to go find one of the built-in Machine groups. So we know we want kits, and then type. What kind of type? Well, let's take a look at all the options. You know, acoustic kits. Acoustic kits are going to be your normal, like, regular drum kits, you know, like an actual acoustic kit.
okay, now that's the first, I guess, drawback of the Force, if you will, in the Forces library. With the Machines library, you're able to search the content by type, as he's describing there. You know, maybe you want an analog kit, electric kit, acoustic kit, something like that. Well, here we are in our Places, and I can't search a kit in that regard. But what you can do is push the magnifying glass and search them by the pre-made categories, whether that's house, drum and bass, future bass, garage, you know what I'm saying. So if you hit the magnifying glass, you can search them by type.
You know, we can even search through all these different kits. You know what? Maybe we're going to go digital. So what I'm going to do is actually double click from the software here. Kind of a nice sounding kit, right? If I want to load more sounds, you see how the group button is lit up white? This is because that means if you want another group, just hit that white button. Now we have group B in here.
Okay, so if we want to load a kit, obviously, here we go back to our matrix. The Force starts out with 2 preloaded tracks. One is a plug-in, and one is an audio track. If you want to load a kit, you have to push this button over here and push drum, and then you can go back to load and you can pick a kit. So let's pick let me go back to what we working with. Alright. No, I'm just going to load this whole project that I made for this series. And that's going to load all kinds of kits. I shouldn't have done that. Alright. Let's go back out of there. Let's load a new project. Drawing blanks here left and right. Okay, so again, if we want to load a kit, we just hit this plus button right here, and then we push the drum, go back to load, and we can go to our Places, and then we load a kit from there. And so let me go down. And let's just load this 808 kit.
In Group B, let's go find another kit. Except this time, let's actually say, you know what, we want percussion kits.
Okay, so again, if we want to load something by type, and we can't really do that. So we push drum, we want to load another kit. We can't find a percussion kit. Only thing we could possibly do is maybe load up a house, drum and bass, future bass, something like that. I'm just going to load this Amon Tobin kit.
And then we can scroll down from our controllers, however we like, load up a kit, and see if it's going to work for us.
Okay, so we've loaded up these kits, and now we go back to our matrix so we can see our arranger, but we can't play it. I mean, where are they at? I put these kits in here and I can't play it. You got to go to note mode, and there's the kits. Get it?
This one does. At the same point, maybe I want to actually load in a sound from the internal machine library. So sounds, again, are going to be these sampled instruments. Specifically, we can see what kind. Let's go to the 2.0 library, and let's find a type. Instruments. Again, there can be some drum sounds in here, or there can be instrument types.
Okay, so we're not going to go and load up an instrument, but let's go back to number 2 there, to that audio track, and load up just an audio clip, right? Let's see if we can just load up a cool loop. So let's go back over here, and now we can see just our sounds again. That's the sound tab. And let's load up a loop. But for that, I'm going to go somewhere else. Just going to go over here down to my drum monkey expansion. Load up a loop. Excuse me. Just something random, right? And when you load up a loop, or whatever you load, it is tempo sensitive, if you will. So right here, my tempo is looking at 146. If I load up a loop that's at 78, that's not going to play in time. So let's just turn the tempo down to 78 and load up that loop into the audio clip again. So be cognizant or aware that you are in the audio clip. So here's our matrix. We have a plug-in, audio, and the 2 drum clips we loaded. And we're going to load up an audio clip. And now if you go back to your matrix, that is loaded here in the clip matrix.
So I think we're going to go find some keys right away. And in fact, I'm going to select this fusion key sound, because I know we're making kind of a loungy, deep house kind of track. I might want some kind of Rhodes piano in here.
And so we don't even have to actually go look for an instrument, because again, the Force starts out with 2 tracks. It starts out with the plug-in, and it starts out with the audio track. And the audio track itself is an instrument. So you push note mode again, and you can play your instrument.
So we load that up. The classic Roland 808 kit, of which we can even load up here. Let's look at something like Amon Tobin kit. As you can imagine, this is going to be
So again, I loaded up the same kit here.
very cool found sounds. Amon Tobin is known for very cool sampling he does, you know, where, I mean, these are interesting sounds. Digital kits, melodic kits. You might have some kits that aren't even drums at all. They're They're kind of like instruments. Percussion kits, so all your bongos and congas.
And so again, if we want to load a kit, see, I loaded an audio clip or a loop. So now I have to go back over here to my kit tab and pick a place to load the kit from. And then I'll open a new track and load a new drum clip. Man, let's load this one.
And what's cool to note about Maschine, these pads are amazing. They're meant to be very playable. They're not like mushy or anything. You can really kind of finger dance with them. And the percussion kits especially are going to be good to use with that kind of thing.
You know, and that's the thing I would say about the Force compared to the Maschine right off the top, is that the Force pads definitely aren't as sensitive as the Maschine pads, right? Because I'm hitting them, you can hear me hitting it, but ain't no sound coming out. And I think if I was hitting the Maschine pads that a lot, you'd be hearing something. But nonetheless, it's pretty sensitive too, right?
And tons of these kits too. So we can come in here. Let's try the timpani kit. Who knows?
All right, I'm gonna load that same kit. We're gonna see what it sounds like. Going back down here to my kits, and this is in the Sound Pro kit. Boom. We're looking for the timpani kit. Okay, where you at? You know what? That's the wrong place. It's in the... Alright, so we're looking for the timpani kit. Boom. Awesome. Matrix to go back to the screen, right?
I feel like writing movies. Very cool. Percussion kits. Produce kits, to be honest, I'm not quite sure what the produce kits mean. They're basically more for certain styles, I would say, and you can kind of tell. But a lot of times there's going to be some overlap with the artist kits or whatever. But sometimes I think they just have a lot of extra production mixing and stuff put into them. They're mixed a little different. They have extra effects on them and everything like that. Special kits are going to be more of your kind of weird kits, I think, special because they don't fit in anywhere else. So, for instance, like a beatbox kit.
And so again, we can't load anything by type, by category in that way. But if we wanted to find an internal kit, so let's go down here to our places. And what if I went to, maybe the internals are the ones that are way down here. Yeah, so I'm gonna go to kits and patterns. And we're gonna look in our internal kits. And so there they are categorized by type, base, house, and so you could use the magnifying glass, and if you push house, then there's all of our house kits. Push the magnifying glass again, let's push a trap kit, and there would be a trap kit. Push it again, let's load up a Mombathon kit. So while they aren't categorized as they are on the machine, if you hit the magnifying glass, they have some pre-mapped categories, just not as many.
cool stuff like that, you know. Maybe like a vocoder kit, for instance, here.
1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Paste it. Stop. Keep it down.
So something that doesn't fit in anywhere else. Urban is going to be, you know, your nice hip-hop kind of kits.
So we don't have an urban area, but again, we got a trap area, and we don't have anything, any special kits or anything like that. They're really categorized by type, which is cool.
All sorts of good stuff. And then vinyl kits. I know I touched on these earlier, but these are some of my favorites, to be honest. Let's look up this pressed kit, for instance. Load him up. But these are all vinyl samples, you know.
All right, let's see if I can find that pressed kit. Again, we're going to push drums. We're going to load, go back down here to our places. And that's the most important thing, it seems to me, in making music, is knowing where your sounds are. You can't have tools in the toolbox if you don't know where they are. So, we're going over here, looking for, see, I have this Moombahton kit highlighted here because we were looking for that last time in the magnifying glass. So there is nothing in my kit, my places area that has a Moombahton name. So you gotta close that out. I think we were looking for that pressed kit, right? I think we got it.
You hear the crackle from the vinyl. So all these samples have been ripped off vinyl. They sound fantastic. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. So you can see, you can choose from all different categories. Basically, any genre of music is pretty much covered here inside of Machine's factory content. And of course, you can always load up your own samples and do whatever. But the same token, we can bring in another group. Remember, you have unlimited groups.
All right, and that's what makes the Force so cool for me, is the ability to bring in all of your own content. So I've been loading up all the sounds we've been hearing on this video, all the kits. We'll turn the sounds up in that one so y'all can hear it. All right, that's that press kit. So again, that's what makes the Force real cool for me, is the ability to bring in all my own sounds. Just that timpani kit. I wish there was a way to select more than one track and turn them all up at the same time. You know, like on Ableton. Is there a way to do that? Do you know how to do that? All right.
And we can even load samples. So let's go in and find some specific samples. Let's do this one right from the library here. And you know what? I'm going to search every single sample. Now, when we look at this tag-based browser,
But so we already did that, so we loaded an audio clip earlier. Let's hear what we loaded. Turn it down a little bit. It's just random. All right. And stop.
this is very helpful to see because we can find specific drums, we can find them from a specific library, but you can see things will get pretty crazy right away. I mean, there are 8 gigs worth of sounds inside a machine, so how are you going to find, for instance, I want a shaker, you know, and there's so many different kinds of shakers, whether they're analog, digital, or whatever. We want to use these attributes to whittle down the results Otherwise, I mean, look at this list of just shakers. You'll drive yourself crazy all day looking for something, right?
So how would we load just a shaker on an empty drum clip? So I put an empty clip there, drum kit. And if I wanted to put just a shaker, I put load. I'd go over here to the sound section. And I would maybe just look for shaker. Boom. And then we have 808 shakers all over a shaker. And we'll load that down here.
This browser is actually pretty sophisticated, and we have two separate sections in order to organize different sounds.
All right. So let's go back to our browser and talk about the sections within it. Again, we have their places here. We've been talking about it. We have our content and we have our expansions. And this thing is, as you can see, pretty sophisticated, and we're able to find the sounds that we're looking for if we know how to use it. So let's go back to the matrix. Let's hear what the moderator's talking.
Top section up here called categories is already pre-organized, and hardwired locations have been set that'll take you to certain content. So let's check out some of the content. So for instance, this file right here, if I click on this file, you'll notice down here we have a preview tab.
All right, so let's talk about that. This audio, this audition button right here with the micro or the speaker, that's how we audition. So if you have that right there, you can turn it up or turn it down, and that's how we pre-hear the sounds before we load them. And if you turn it off, you won't hear anything. I usually keep mine about halfway. Maybe a little bit less than, more than half. All right.
And I have this preview button currently enabled. So if I click on a file, I'll be able to hear it before I actually add it to the session view. And here's our audio clip in that track. Now below the categories section, we have a places section. Where categories is more hardwired locations, these are predetermined by Live. The places section allows you to set custom locations to any content that you frequently use or just want to have handy, so then that way you can browse your own content without leaving Live's interface.
Okay, so as I was saying, the places area shows the content on our force and the different places within the force. So our internal drive, if we have an external hard drive, and if we have an internal SSD of the sorts. But then you push the content button, and that shows a thumbnail view of the content within our drive. And so we can go there and we can look for just the audio clips. We can go there and we can look for the instruments, you know, etc., etc. And if you go over there to the expansions, you can find the expansions. So if I'm looking for, again, a specific file, let's load up an audio clip here.
Now at this point you should have already downloaded the student materials pack, and what we want to do is make a shortcut for that in our places location down here.
And so with the Force 3.2 update, they have recently implemented a new screen, which is this. Swipe to the right and it has I think it's the places or whatever. And so with that, now we're able to have our quick access to the places that we use a lot. And so we can have access to our sounds, access to our arranger. I use the sampler, the mixer, and you're able to change that to your liking, which makes it so cool, right? So let's go back over here to our sounds tab.
So I put in my music folder. The reason why is because I like to have all of my content that I plan on using in a centralized location.
All right, so by now you should have downloaded the Sound Pro expansion pack. It's a free expansion for anybody watching the video, anybody who want to join up to the Sound Pro music group. You should have downloaded that. And if you go to the load section and you go to your places all the way down, you should see your Sound Pro expansion. because these expansions, the Sound Pro expansions, are created to sit A to Z within your force. So let's load that up. And actually, let me go pick this one up. All right, there we go.
This makes it much easier to keep organized. So I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Now I've located my folder. I'm going to hit open. And now you see the folder is here in places. So let's select this and see what shows up to the right. Now we can see all of the content folder.
See? So now we have our Machining the Force folder, which is free again to all new Sound Pro members, Machining the Force expansion. And if you start over here from left to right, you can see the projects that are in this expansion, the MIDI clips, the kits, the instruments, and the individual samples.
And if we go inside that folder, we see more folders, and we can expand and collapse these folders to see the content within them. Now, let's say there's a particular sample, particular audio file that I wanted to find in all of this. Okay, it's a ton of stuff to search through. And I want to find a file called Detroit, that's spelled with 2 E's. So D-E-E, Detroit.
All right. So again, if you've downloaded the Machining the Force Sound Pro expansion pack, then if you're looking for the Detroit, you just go in here in the sample section, type in the double D-E-E, Detroit, and let's see what we got. Boom, there it is. And we're going to load that into a new audio clip. So if we want to load a new audio clip, we have one here. We're already on our audio clip, so let's look at our matrix. We're on our audio clip. We're going to load. Boom. And that's going to be in our clip matrix.
This works at the group level, the sound level, the instruments. Paying closer attention to the instruments, these are basically integrated with your complete instruments from Native Instruments. So if you're using the amazing stuff from Native Instruments, which we will be throughout this course, you'll see it right here.
All right. So how do we find our instruments on the Force? Again, we've been talking a lot about the kits. We're talking about audio clips. We know that when we open the Force, it comes with a preloaded instrument. But what if we want to load our own instrument? Again, you just load another audio clip. You push plug in, and then it comes loaded with an instrument. If you push shift and clip, you can see the instrument view. So that's my first workout on the Force. Just trying to do my best to get past where I've kind of plateaued with this thing. Share with you how I've come to know it. Thanks for checking me out. If you enjoyed that video, if you learned anything, feel free to hit the like and subscribe. Please do. I'll see you in the next one.